Good morning, students. In the previous lecture, we were discussing Foucault's pendulum and we have derived the expression for the effective force experienced by the metallic bob of the pendulum in the rotating frame of Earth, and it was come out to be equals to this. And here, as you can see, on the right hand side we have the coefficients of I cap, j cap and k cap. Separate the coefficients of I cap, j cap and k cap. So in this equation we have separate out the coefficients of I cap, coefficients of j cap and coefficients of k cap from this equation. So suppose this as equation 7th. Now in this equation 7th, as you can see, left hand side is equal to right hand side, and we know that left hand side it will only be equal to right hand side if the coefficients of I cap on both sides, the coefficients of j cap on both sides and the coefficients of k cap on both sides are equal. So in equation 7th, compare the coefficients of I cap, j cap, k cap on both sides. So first of all, we will compare the coefficients of I cap. On left hand side it is x double dot, so write it here, and on right hand side the coefficients of I cap is this. So we have written down it here and suppose this as equation 8. Similarly, the coefficient of j cap on left hand side is y double dot and the coefficient of j cap on right hand side is this term in the bracket. Write it here and suppose this as equation 9th. Then compare the coefficients of k cap on both sides. On left hand side we have z double dot and on right hand side we have this term. Suppose this as equation 10th. Now for the simplification purpose, we have assumed that, as we know that the pendulum or the Foucault's pendulum, it is in oscillations, and the oscillations are the displacement from the mean position. So now for the simplification purpose, assume that the displacement given to the heavy bob from its equilibrium position P, suppose it is very small. And we know that the length of the pendulum, the length of the string of the pendulum L, it is approximately 75 to 80 meters. So the length of the pendulum is very large. So the displacement of the heavy bob from its equilibrium position P, it is very small as compared to the length of the pendulum. So what does this mean? If the length of the pendulum, this is point S, this is point P on Earth, if length of the pendulum is very large, this is L, but the displacement through which the bob of the pendulum is displaced from its mean position, it is quite small. This displacement, it is small as compared to the length of the pendulum. And this length of the pendulum, it is along the z-axis, and this metallic bob or heavy bob of the pendulum, it oscillates in xy plane. We have already assumed this in the figure in the consideration of the previous lecture. So as this, it oscillates in xy plane. Why? Because the value of z at this point, we have assumed already in the previous lecture that this point is point Q having coordinates xyz. But as the displacement of this heavy bob from its equilibrium position, as it is very small, so this Q point, it will lie very close to xy plane. It means the value of z coordinate, it will be very small. It is as small that it can be neglected. It can approximately be taken as 0. The value of z, it is very small that we can assume that this heavy bob, it only oscillates in xy plane because the value of z is so small that it can approximately be taken as 0. So the coordinates of point Q will be xy0. It means the bob oscillates in xy plane. So because of the small displacement from the mean position and its value, it is very small as compared to the length of the pendulum, so the bob doesn't lift much above the xy plane on both sides of the P. It means the value of z coordinate is negligible. So what does this imply? That the motion of the bob, it is almost restricted to the xy plane. It is almost restricted. It is not exactly in the xy plane, but it is almost restricted to the xy plane. So now as this z, it is very small as compared to L and it is constant. So z is approximately equal to 0 and having constant value. So z dot will be 0 and z double dot will be 0. And one more thing, as we have already assumed that this displacement from the mean position of the bob, it is small as compared to the length of the pendulum. So this, the value of SP and the value of SQ, it is L. But in the displaced position SQ, there is tension T in the string. But as that this displacement is very small, so this tension T, it will be approximately in vertically upward direction. It will not be in tilted direction. Why? Because the displacement is small, and even in the displaced position, this SQ line, it will be approximately a vertical line. This SQ vector, it will be in approximately vertical direction. So that is why we can take this tension, the direction of this tension T in vertically upward direction, and we know that the weight of the metallic bob, it will act downward, and if this T, it is vertically upward, then this T, it will balance this mg. This tension, it will be exactly equal to the weight of the bob, so this T will be equal to mg. So the second assumption is that, which we have already assumed, that the displacement of the bob is very small, which means that this string of the pendulum, it will be approximately vertical even in the displaced position. And this implies that the direction of tension T, it will be nearly vertically upward. Then this T, it will be exactly equal to the weight of the bob. So T will be equal to mg. So now put this T is equal to mg and z dot equal to 0 in equation 8 and 9. So this was our equation 8. Now put z dot equal to 0 here and T is equal to mg here. When you will put this T is equal to mg here, this m and m will be cancelled out and you will get that x double dot, it is equal to minus gx by L. Then this portion will be 0 and this minus and minus will be plus 2 omega y dot sine lambda. And suppose this as equation 11th, and similarly in this equation of y there is no z dot, so use just this value T is equal to mg here and this m and m will be cancelled out. So we have y double dot from equation 9th, it will be equal to minus gy by L minus 2 omega x dot sine lambda. And suppose this as equation 12th. As you can see, in both of these equations, 11th and 12th, equation 11th, it contains both variables x and y, and similarly equation 12th, it also contains variable x and y both. So equation 11th and 12th, both of these equations represents the coupled equations of motion of the bob in two variables x and y. And we know that in case of pendulum, this g by L, it is equal to the natural frequency, which is equal to omega naught square. You have already studied this in your waves and vibrations, that this g by L, it is equal to omega naught square. So put this g by L is equal to omega naught square here, and what you will get, x double dot, it will be equal to minus omega naught square x plus 2 omega y dot sine lambda. Move this term to this side and you will get x double dot plus omega naught square x it is equal to 2 omega y dot sine lambda. And suppose this equation as equation 13th. Similarly, put g by L is equal to omega naught square in this equation 12th, and you will get y double dot, it is equal to minus omega naught square y minus 2 omega x dot sine lambda. And then move this term to this side and you will get y double dot plus omega naught square y, it is equal to minus 2 omega x dot sine lambda. And suppose this as equation 14th. Now multiply this equation 14th by iota, and what you will get? After multiplying this equation 14th by iota, this equation 14th will become iota into y double dot plus iota into omega naught square y, it is equal to minus 2 omega x dot sine lambda into iota. And suppose this as equation 15th. Now add equation 13th and 15th. On adding equation 13th and 15th, what we will get? Equation 13th, we have this x double dot plus omega naught square x. This is the left hand side of equation 13th. Now add left hand side of equation 15th to this. So plus iota y double dot plus iota omega naught square y, it is equal to right hand side of equation 13th 2 omega y dot sine lambda minus 2 omega x dot sine lambda I cap. And suppose this as equation 16th. So now on right hand side, take from left hand side, we have combined this term x double dot plus iota y double dot. Then from this and this term we have taken omega naught square common, and inside the bracket you will have x plus iota y. And on right hand side, take 2 common, omega common, sine lambda common, and also take, as with this x dot we have minus iota, also take this minus iota common. So from this term you have taken minus 2 omega sine lambda I cap common, and what is left behind inside the bracket, it will be x dot. And as you can see from this term, we have taken 2 common, we have taken omega common, we have taken sine lambda common, but there is no minus iota. So what we have to do, we have to divide this by minus iota because there is no minus iota here. And if you have to take minus iota common from this term which doesn't contain minus iota, so you have to divide it by, multiply and divide it by minus iota, and in the numerator you have taken that minus iota common, and so you are left behind with minus iota in the denominator. And we will rationalize this. So this iota into iota will become iota square, and we know that iota square is minus 1, then that minus and this minus, it will be plus. So we have this is equal to x dot plus iota y dot. And now move this whole term to this left hand side. This negative term on left hand side, it will become positive. So the equation, it will be reduced to this equation. Now put this x plus iota y is equal to u. Then u dot will be equal to, differentiate this, u dot will be equal to x dot plus iota y dot, and u double dot will be equal to x double dot, differentiating again, plus iota y double dot. So put all these values in this equation, and what you will get, instead of this we have u double dot plus 2 iota omega sine lambda. Instead of this we have u dot plus omega naught square. This is again equal to u and it is equal to 0. And now put this omega sine lambda is equal to omega 1. So we have this equation u double dot plus 2 iota omega 1 u dot plus omega naught square u, it is equal to 0. And suppose this as equation number 11th. Suppose this as equation number 16th. This is equation number 16th. And now as you can see, here we have u double dot, which means double derivative of u. And double derivative of u means this is the second order differential equation in the variable u. And what will be the solution of this differential equation? It will be the value of u, that value of u which will satisfy this equation 16th. It will be the solution of this second order differential equation. So suppose that u is equal to e raised to power alpha t is the solution of this second order differential equation. Just like as you do in case of waves and vibrations. You suppose that this is the solution of this simple harmonic equation. So similarly, we have supposed that this is the solution of this equation. And if u is equal to e raised to power alpha t, what will be the value of u dot? U dot will be equal to the differentiation of e raised to power alpha t is e raised to power alpha t. Then differentiation of alpha t will be alpha. And e raised to power alpha t is u. So it is equal to alpha u. Similarly, what will be the value of u double dot? Differentiate this again. You will get u double dot alpha. The differentiation of e raised to power alpha t is e raised to power alpha t. And the differentiation of alpha t will be alpha. So that alpha and this alpha, it will become alpha square. And again, this is equal to u. So it will become alpha square u. And putting all these three values in equation 16th, putting all the values in equation 16th, we will get the value of u double dot is alpha square u plus 2 iota omega 1 into the value of u dot is alpha u plus omega naught square u, it is equal to 0. Now take u common. Alpha square plus 2 iota omega 1 alpha plus omega naught square, u is common, it is equal to 0. And we know that as u is the solution of that second order differential equation, so u cannot be equal to 0. And the product of two quantities is equal to 0 if and only if one of the quantity is 0. As u cannot be equal to 0 because it is the solution of the second order differential equation, it means this term will be equal to 0. So which implies alpha square plus 2 iota omega 1 alpha plus omega naught square, it is equal to 0. And this is the quadratic equation in alpha. It is quadratic equation in alpha. So find its roots. To find the value of alpha, we know that the value of alpha will be minus b. And what is the value of b here? B means ax square plus bx plus c equal to 0. If this is the general quadratic equation, what will be the value of x? Because this is the quadratic equation in x. The value of x will give you the roots of this quadratic equation. And x will be equal to minus b plus minus root b square minus 4ac upon 2a. Use this formula here. So here instead of x we have alpha, so minus b. Instead of b we have 2 iota omega 1 plus minus root b square means 2 iota omega 1 whole square minus 4, value of a is, coefficient of alpha square is 1. So value of a is 1. And what is c? It is omega naught square. Divided by 2 into a. So the value of alpha, it is equal to minus 2 iota omega 1. So it will be plus minus root 2 square means 4. Iota square will be minus omega 1 square minus 4 omega naught square divided by 2. So we have minus 2 iota omega 1 plus minus, when you will take this 4 outside the square root, it will be 2. And this, when you will take this minus common, and we know that this minus, it is equal to iota square, and inside the bracket we will have omega 1 square plus omega naught square. We have taken minus common, and minus 1 is equal to iota square. So I have written down that minus 1 is equal to iota square. This 2 will be cancelled out. How? You will take this 2 common from here, then that 2, it will be cancelled out by this 2. Now take this iota square from this square root, it will become iota, and the value of alpha will be minus iota omega 1 plus minus iota root omega 1 square plus omega naught square. And suppose this value, it is equal to omega 2. So the value of alpha, it is equal to minus iota omega 1 plus minus iota omega 2. And suppose this as equation 17th. So what will be the general solution of the differential equation? As alpha comes out to be minus iota omega 1 plus minus iota omega 2, where omega 2, it is equal to root omega naught square plus omega 1 square. So the general equation, the general solution of the differential equation u double dot plus 2 iota omega 1 u dot plus omega naught square u is equal to 0 is given by u is equal to e raised to power alpha t, where alpha is equal to this. So e raised to power alpha is equal to minus iota omega 1 plus minus iota omega 2 into t. And it can be written as, because there are two possible values of alpha, and both the values of alpha, when you will put here, it will act as the solution of this differential equation. So you can write it as that there are two solutions of this equation. So the total solution will be equal to the linear combination of both. It will be a e raised to power alpha, first value of alpha is minus iota omega 1 plus iota omega 2 into t, plus b e raised to power second value of alpha is minus iota omega 1 minus iota omega 2 into t. So this is the same way you have written down the linear combination of two solutions in case of the solution of simple harmonic equation in case of pendulum in waves and vibrations. So it will become u is equal to a e raised to power minus iota omega 1t into e raised to power plus iota omega 2t plus b e raised to power minus iota omega 1t into e raised to power minus iota omega 2t. So as you can see, this term is common. So take this term common from right hand side. So you will get u is equal to a e raised to power plus iota omega 2t plus b e raised to power minus iota omega 2t into e raised to power minus iota omega 1t. U, it is equal to A. According to De Moivre's theorem, we know that e raised to power iota theta is equal to cos theta plus iota sin theta. So, e raised to power iota theta will be equal to cos theta plus iota sin theta plus b. Here e raised to power minus iota theta will be equal to cos theta minus iota theta into e raised to power minus omega 1t, iota omega 1t. So now solve this. You will get u is equal to a cos omega 2t. Here we have b cos omega 2t. It means cos omega 2t will be common and we will have a plus b inside the bracket. Similarly, in the second term, we will have iota a sin omega 2t and here we will have minus iota b sin omega 2t. So here we have iota sin omega 2t common and inside the bracket we will have a minus b. And here e raised to power minus iota omega 1t. Now suppose that this is equal to x dash and this term is equal to y dash. So this implies x dash is equal to a plus b cos omega 2t and y dash is equal to a minus b sin omega 2t. Find the value of cos omega 2t from this equation. What will be the value of cos omega 2t? It will be equal to x dash upon a plus b and the value of sin omega 2t will be y dash upon a minus b. Now in the next step, squaring and adding both sides. Next step will be squaring and adding on both sides. Suppose this is equation A and this is equation B. Squaring and adding A and B. So squaring and adding A and B, you will get cos square omega 2t plus sin square omega 2t. It will be equal to x dash upon a plus b whole square plus y dash upon a minus b whole square, and on left hand side cos square theta plus sin square theta, it is equal to identity, that is 1. So this implies x dash square over a plus b whole square plus y dash square over a minus b whole square, it is equal to 1. And this is the equation of ellipse with center at the origin. So this is the equation of ellipse with center at the origin. And what is this? This is the trajectory or the path followed by the bob of the pendulum during oscillations. So this is the resultant trajectory or the path followed by the bob during oscillations. And this is the equation of ellipse, x square by a square plus y square by b square is equal to 1. So this is the ellipse in xy plane. But as all of you know that this path is not fixed because of the Coriolis force acting because of the rotation of earth. And this e raised to power minus omega 1 t term, where this omega 1 is equal to omega sin lambda iota. So this omega sin lambda factor, it tells us that the plane of oscillation of the bob, it rotates with angular velocity omega sine lambda, which we have already shown in the figure of Foucault's pendulum discussed in the previous lecture. So this factor shows that the plane of oscillation of the bob, it rotates with angular velocity omega sine lambda. So what will be the time period of oscillations? We all know that time period of oscillation is equal to 2 pi by angular velocity. And what is the angular velocity of the oscillations of bob here? It is omega 1. And this omega 1, it is equal to omega sine lambda. And what is this 2 pi by omega? It is the time period by the earth to complete its one rotation. And what is the time taken by earth to complete one rotation about its own axis? It is 24 hours. So this 2 pi by omega, it is equal to 24 hours divided by sine lambda. So the time period of oscillations of the bob of Foucault's pendulum, it is equal to 2 pi by omega sine lambda, or it is equal to 24 by sine lambda. So now we'll discuss its special cases. Now if this Foucault's pendulum, it is placed at the poles on the surface of earth, then in that case at the poles the angle of latitude lambda, it is equal to 90 degree. So what will be the time period of oscillations of Foucault's pendulum? It will be 2 pi by omega sine 90 degree, and we know that sine 90 is 1. So it will be equal to 2 pi by omega, and this 2 pi by omega, it is the time period taken by the earth to complete one rotation, which is equal to 24 hours. So at the poles, the Foucault's pendulum, the time period of the oscillations of Foucault's pendulum, it is same as that of the time taken by earth to complete one rotation. So time taken by Foucault's pendulum to complete one rotation or to complete one oscillation, it is equal to the time taken by earth to complete one rotation about its axis when the Foucault's pendulum is placed at the poles. Or in other words, you can also say that from this time period of oscillation of pendulum is 24 hours. It means the plane of oscillation of the Foucault's pendulum, it rotates only once in 24 hours. Then second special case will be at the equator. If Foucault's pendulum is placed at the equator, their lambda will be equal to 0 degree. Then sine 0 degree will be equal to 0. So the time period to complete one oscillation of the pendulum, it will be equal to 2 pi by 0, means infinity. So time taken by the bob or by the pendulum to complete one oscillation at the equator is infinite. It means at the equator, the Foucault's pendulum, it will not rotate at all. It means it will not rotate at all when it is placed at the equator, where lambda is equal to 0 degree. So from this, it is clear that there is shift in the time period as we move from, as the Foucault's pendulum is moved from the poles to the equator. The time period of oscillation of the pendulum, it changes, and this relative angular shift of the plane of oscillation of the pendulum over the time period, it provides the direct proof that earth rotates about its own axis. So this is all about Foucault's pendulum, and this topic is very important from the examination point of view, and this is the last topic of this unit or this chapter, that is frame of reference.